first of all, get out of the theoretical,
Right.
and just go do something. Just go get some cards printed up, do the door to door, do whatever it is you got to do to get your name out there to get started.
Mm-hmm.
Try something and learn from it, and then keep making those adjustments. And throughout all of that, you have to be friendly, be authentic, be responsible, do what you say, and people have to like you. At the end of the day,
Right.
business is about people. It's people.
Right. You're listening to the Remodeler Digital Playbook, a show created to inspire remodeling contractors to achieve success in their remodeling business. I am your host, Ratna Ramakrishnan. I'm also the founder of Remodeler Digital, the digital marketing agency for remodeling contractors. In each episode, I'll be chatting with remodeling contractors and top experts discussing their proven methods for revenue generation, the insights they've gained, and the keys to remodeling success. And I'll be sharing my knowledge of how I created a 7-figure business using digital marketing. Hello, everybody. I am super excited today to have Nick Donahue from Handy Dad's Remodeling. I just love the name of his business on our podcast today. So we're going to dive right in and learn about his story and how he got into the remodeling business. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you. But the company is actually Handy Dad's Home Remodeling.
Yes.
So yeah, if you just making it.
I condensed your name. Yes. So Handy Dad's Remodeling. Okay. So let's dive right in. Introduce yourself. Tell us how you got into the remodeling industry, how many years you've been in it, and if you're comfortable, share your revenue levels or what your goals are when it comes to your business.
Well, that's a lot. So I've been at this since about 2010. I was a Delta pilot for many years before that, so I left aviation after a 28-year career, and then I got into this just doing simple handyman things for people. And then in 2016, I got my contractor's license and then started doing bigger jobs. And our revenue was about 1.2 million last year.
Congratulations.
But things definitely have slowed at the moment. What else? So we do lots of kitchen, bathroom remodels, major home construction, remodeling, all sorts of projects related to the home, garage builds, room additions. Yeah. So
cool. And you're based in Georgia.
Correct. Yeah, just outside of Atlanta.
Nice. And what brought you from the skies to construction, going from a Delta pilot to remodeling?
It surely wasn't a direct path. I had flown a long time, and I just was ready to do something different with my life. And I had actually spent quite a bit of time researching, trying to figure every little possibility of a career change or anything that interested me, I would pursue it. And then nothing really stuck. And then so I just kind of had the free time, and so I just started doing little odds and ends for people. And I remember one of my first customers, I just was hanging like toilet paper racks and towel racks, things like that. And I put some pictures, I was hanging some pictures on the wall, and I charged them by the hour because I didn't know any better about charging per project. I was just new at this. And I ended up getting like $900 for that. And it was like a day and a half of, not even a whole day, a day and a half of time put into it. But again, not the entire day. And I just said, you know what, this isn't too bad, And so I just kind of kept doing that. Then I met somebody that at a Home Depot that I was just going through the parking lot and saw a sign on the back of this guy's truck and struck up a conversation with him. And so this guy's been with me now for almost 14 years, and we started just like hanging, any kind of odds and ends we could do to make money, including hanging Christmas lights.
Oh, fun.
That's literally where we started for people. And then we did that for a while. And that wasn't, all we did, but that was some additional things we did in order to generate some business. And then, shortly after that, he said, I'm not doing this anymore, because he's up on, a ladder 2 stories in the air, leaning back, putting Christmas lights. So we've come a long way. And the website actually speaks a little bit to the journey. I was also military before that. I was Air Force. So it's not like I said when I was flying, this is what I want to do. Not even anything close to it. So I've been doing this now for, I guess, about 14 years.
Amazing. Amazing. So that's interesting that you were hanging Christmas lights. I feel like lights deliver happiness because people, it just instantly transforms your home. It's the holidays and Santa's coming. And so that's super adorable.
Right.
And I think
it's a great time to look forward to.
yeah, and I think remodeling is also a happy business because you, as much as you're spending hours and hours in somebody's personal space, you're literally transforming lives and creating these spaces where people come in and they have their birthdays and weddings and memories. And so when you look at the realm of projects that you've done, you started with the handyman jobs. What are some of your favorite projects? Do you have a favorite kitchen or a bathroom remodel where you went in, the project was complex or the budget was limiting or there was a slope or the homeowner had a special need that you had to meet? Do you have a fun story that comes to mind?
I mean, not one particular story. I always approach it where when we talk with a couple, what is their vision and what can we do? I mean, if it's literally changing the structure of their space, taking walls down, what is their vision? How is the light coming in? How is that going to might affect the space? What kind of lighting do they want? So I bring up some additional things too because I want it because they're spending a lot of money, doing this. I mean, we kitchens, master bathrooms. I mean, some of our work is just amazing, and I'm just not bullshit. I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm very proud of the work that our guys do. I call them they're basically my Michelangelos. They take their skills and craftsmanship and they turn it into something just magnificent. Yep. And we've got a lot of great reviews, a lot of photos on the website, and people like us. And not only that, we're friendly. We try to be respectful of people. We communicate with them. I mean, we're not perfect by any stretch of the means, but there's not one particular one, but they all have their intricacies and challenges.
Yep.
There's something going on all the time, and it's many moving parts, and things don't always go perfect, but you have to be the type of company that will make it right. We'll fix it. We'll make the adjustment, whatever.
Right.
Because oftentimes customers don't necessarily know exactly what they want 100%. And then as things start to unfold, then they'll go, you know what, I don't really like that. Or can you move that over here? Or, that's not kind of what I thought. And so you have to be willing to make those kind of adjustments.
Right. Well, friendly is definitely that something that sticks with me when I think about you, because I do teach a monthly workshop, and I had Nick come to one of those workshops, and I ended up getting to know him. We were chatting about his business after the workshop, and when I saw him sign up to be a podcast guest, I was super excited to get to know you better. So awesome. Focusing on the client's needs is a big priority. I was curious, considering you've been a pilot, which again involves precision and focus, and it's not a trivial role that you play when you're flying the massive planes and the lives that you're responsible for. Do you draw any analogies to being a pilot? And because remodeling is precision work too, is there something that pops to you in your mind?
Yeah, I think instinctively I have that personality to accept responsibility. And it's something I don't think about. It's just the way I am. So whether it's flying passengers, I don't think about all the people behind me and all their lives. It just never enters my mind because, I'm always thinking that, we're up there taking care of ourselves, obviously, and if we are, everybody else is going to be fine.
Yes.
I mean, it's that straightforward, because if you were trying to think of about 300 people behind you, you'd probably never get the airplane in the air.
Right.
It's just how it is. So when I meet with a customer, I have like a authentic quality about me, where I don't always say what you expect me to say, and it may not always be it could be a little abrupt maybe once in a while, but I'm very honest, and I make recommendations based on what I think, and that doesn't mean that everything I say is what we have to do, but I try to bring up ideas from my perspective that I think, and some of that is design related too.
Yes.
But to your question, it really has to do with just the innate interest and desire. It's just in me to accept the responsibility. So when somebody's trusting me with $100,000 of their money, it's important that we do the right thing to take care of them, communicate with them, and do exactly what we say.
I love it. Just the responsibility factor, right? Because that's such a huge part, because your life gets disrupted when you're going through a remodel. You lose your bedroom, you lose.
And you know what? You are dealing with these people, or not dealing with them, but you're interacting with them all the time. I mean, not me so much, but the crews that are out there. And so I've done my best to sort of shape them and teach them around, some of it around customer service. That's not always, people don't necessarily have that skill, particularly in this industry, the guys that are out there. So things like being on time, communicating, letting them know when you're going to come back, when you're leaving, if there's items they need to pick up, just trying to stay ahead of it. And it's just like this huge basket of moving parts. It's just many, many, many parts. And so a lot of my time is sort of with this obsession of how to be efficient, how to be smart, and just, getting back to my flying, we have checklists that we follow. And we don't, you have to adhere to those steps, and they're in a sequence, and they're there for a reason. So I again, innately apply that sort of logic and approach to the way I do the business.
Fascinating. Well, I love to travel, and anytime I'm on a plane and I hear the pilot's voice come on, I'm just all ears. I'm like, God, right there, take us home, take me to my destination so I can have a grand time, right? So that's incredible.
Right.
That's incredible that you take those checklists and you apply it to your work today. So let's pretend I'm a lead. I've come into your universe, be it either through a phone call or a referral. What does the process look like once you have a homeowner that's initiated contact with you and is interested in doing business with you? Then what happens to the process where it becomes a full-blown project?
So they have to begin by going to the website. I have an intake form they have to complete.
Okay.
And that form has a variety of questions on it that are all there with a purpose. So those questions give me insight. So when that lead comes in, then when we call, we have some context around what the project is, what they're wanting, what their budget is, which they don't always tell the truth around that. But just those questions, like when they want to start, is the house on sewer or septic? If it's an outside project, do they have a survey? So there's a lot of questions there that need to be asked, and they're all required, and they have to complete the form. Occasionally somebody has difficulty with it, and we'll do it for them, but that information helps us, and that's how it gets into the CRM. So then from there, we decide who we feel that needs to go out to the project. I mean, obviously the project manager goes, but it could be, do one of the licensed subs need to go? Electrician, plumber, HVAC person. Do we need a designer? Somebody to do drawings. Do we need an interior designer? Is there concrete involved? So we decide who's going to be sent out, and then they go out, and then we get an idea of when their quotes are going to be coming back to us. That gets into the CRM. So then the clock starts, and then we give the customer some perspective around how long it will take us to get the quote to them, depending upon the complexity of it. And another thing we've been doing now for some time is that we don't just start that journey with doing a ton of work and a lot, because it takes time to put together a quote. And the more complicated the job, obviously, the more people involved. And then when you get into permitting, it's a lot. So what we've started doing is coming up with like a ballpark. And we give them kind of a range, and we do our best for it to fall in there. But I feel that if the customer if those numbers don't make sense to them, there's no point in everybody not so much me, but many other people that work with me and for me have to put time in.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with subcontractors who are not your employees, you have to be very judicious of their time, because you can't keep sending them out to a job and not closing the job.
Right.
So, we get a sense for the overall cost, build in profit, and get that out to them as quickly as we can. And then if they want to move forward, then we in earnest start sending the people out. We get the drawings done, and then once the drawings are done, if drawings are required, then we can send that out to everybody, and then we start getting the hard numbers in.
Right.
And then then we work through this iterative process of answering questions, making adjustments and changes, whether it's into the drawings, it could be many things. And then once that's done, then it goes into a formal estimate, and then they sign. That's sent to them. They sign electronically, and then once they sign them, we set up a date when we're going to start the project. We let them know about the items that's in the estimate of what they need to bring to the project, and so they get ahead of it. And so we don't start the project until the customer has the items that they need, because we like to keep the project moving.
So when you
And I'm giving you all my secrets, Ratna.
well, that was great. When you say items, you're talking about like faucets and tiles and paint color and those things that the homeowner has to choose.
Exactly.
And then you come and you hit the road running. Amazing. Well, looks like a very detailed process. And the subcontractors that you work with, I guess you have a trusted pool that you pull from for every project, and you've vetted them, and you know that they're the best quality, they meet your needs, and so forth.
And let me tell you, in this business, in this industry, that's probably the heaviest lift that you deal with. Is you churn through these people. They may not. They say they're going to show up, and they don't show up. I mean, you get all kinds of scenarios. They don't present well, or they're really expensive. So if your subs are high, you're not going to get the job. So everybody's time is being wasted. So yes, it's a process, and when you land on those that you like, you get along with, because you have to have a working relationship too,
Right.
And then they're going in representing you also to the customer when they're out doing their work. So yeah, it's a process, and that's been a challenge, but it's we've got it going finally now.
Nice. So you mentioned a couple of times that you use a CRM. What is the tech stack that you use today to simplify your life?
I use Zoho.
Nice. And then estimate generation.
Rathna, can you hear me? The signal is not that good.
Yep, I can hear you. So for estimate generation, what are you?
Yeah, so I use Zoho, CRM.
Okay.
The Zoho one.
Yes.
And that has been customized to work for what I do and the way I do things.
Nice.
And I have the ability to go in and make changes myself, which I really like that. So I don't have to, I don't have a off-the-shelf type of CRM that I'm limited in what I can do, and I have to adapt to what other people are doing or the way they've set it up. I've created this around the way we do our business. And then again, I have the ability to go in and make changes to it.
Nice.
I really like that. So I can do it timely. And then if I need something that I can't do, then I can talk to one of the programmers, and they've been very good at helping me make that adjustment or create whatever it is that I needed.
Nice. So you're able to add your contractors in there, manage your payments and everything inside the same CRM, and maintain your customer lists.
Payments, I could do a lot more with it. I mean, the payments is not integrated. I do that through QuickBooks.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so basically that works through my deposits, and then my expenses, things like that. That's all part of QuickBooks.
And then you have a bookkeeper who keeps your books to tally your numbers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And one of the biggest, really, this is important. I've always been the kind of person I try to do everything myself. And that's a really hard thing to wrap your head around, and to think and to get to a place to where you realize you can only go so big, you know, no matter what it is. And I have other things that I'm working that other businesses that are going to feed into what I'm doing here, but I've stopped that whole thing of trying to do everything myself.
Nice.
And so, to your point about a bookkeeper, it so happens a guy that works for me doing a variety of other tasks within the office also does my QuickBooks.
Very good.
So, yeah, so I mean, it's fairly straightforward. I run everything through, I use a card or I write a check. So everything really ends up through my bank account and then goes into the QuickBooks that way.
Very cool.
But at this point, the CRM, like my invoicing and things, does not tie into my QuickBooks.
Yes, yes. There's a great book by an author called Benjamin Hardy, Who Not How is the title of the book, and it's one of my favorite books. Is that if you really want to scale as an entrepreneur, you need to figure out who on your team is going to do the job and not tell yourself, how am I going to get this done? How am I going to get this done? And once you get out of that, how am I going to get this done, into the who is doing it for me, that's when, you know, you have the brain bandwidth to think and dream and scale your business. So very cool.
Right.
Do you use any AI in your business today? Have you played around with Chat GPT or Gemini or?
Yeah, I have. I have both of them.
And do you use it for like communication? Like, what are some of the things you've played around with it?
I had I just did an executive summary back a couple months ago. I'm starting another company called Iterate, and that combines home remodeling, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC.
Nice.
Under one roof. And I was working on an executive summary, so I use both Gemini and ChatGPT. I don't have extensive, use them. I don't really have a need, but they're there, and when I need them, I go there. I want to, for something, whatever it is I'm doing.
What does Iterate mean?
It doesn't.
It's
something I came up with.
Love it. Yeah, it sounds like a really cool name. Looks like you have the.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. It sounds like exotic gold or something. I don't know. Like it resonates.
Yeah, well, like some sort of metal of some sort. Yeah.
Well, what is your marketing methodology, considering I'm a digital marketing agency that works exclusively with remodeling contractors? I'm always curious to learn about what is your marketing methodology? Do you spend a certain amount of dollars based on where your revenue is at today, or where you want your revenue to be? Or do you just do a lot of word of mouth, referrals? Do you do print ads? What's been your methodology in terms of, staying in business and scaling?
I wish I could tell you there was a method to it or a strategy, but over the last 4 years almost, we've just been insanely busy, obviously because of COVID. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've come through this cycle of everybody doing home remodeling projects. So I haven't, we might have sometimes 5 or 10 appointments a day. Mm-hmm. We did, but that's what it was like. It's not like that. And I'm getting more and more subcontractors reaching out to me looking for work.
I see.
So that is kind of where we are in the times right now.
With it slowing down, do you have a strategy? Are you reaching out to your past clients to?
Well, okay, so there's a few things. I have a postcard that I created. Once again, me, right? And I do that. I mail it out through Every Door Direct, I think it's called, through the U.S. Postal Service, and that's pretty straightforward. I order the postcards through Vistaprint, and then I've got a postage stamp kind of thing that's part of the printing process. I forgot what they call that thing, but so I don't have to put stamps.
The automated stuff.
Yeah, so it just makes it convenient. So I get the postcards mailed to me, and then I go to the post. Well, then I have these forms. I have to go online to my account, and then there's some forms I have to complete, and there's a protocol, a process for it, and then you put your postcards in a basket, and you take them to the post office, and you're done from there. You pay for your postage when you're there, and that's it. So I've got the postcard that I do. We just started doing some Facebook and Instagram posts. Again, the gentleman that works for me likes to do that stuff. I'm old school. I'm not that social. Just how it is, So I'm not on Facebook. I mean, I have a page and stuff, but I don't post. I don't, I have a very light presence there, but he's all over that.
Nice.
So Facebook, Instagram, we've got going. I got my little list here because I knew you were going to ask me that question. Search engine optimization is just all come from being organic. Nothing really special there. It would be nice to move up, but there's back end things and links. There's a lot of things you got to do that I don't have the time for, and just haven't made a decision to hire somebody like yourself to do that, to be honest.
Right.
I've also started looking into print advertising, but to get in, like, there's a magazine called the Home Mag.
Yep.
Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really popular here. But the Home Mag, and then there's a new one that just came out called Prestigious Living. So just over the last week, we've been checking into pricing, and it's like $1,500 a month for a full page ad,
Well,
and like $1,000 for like a half page.
those things,
and
those things can work if you have a very clear, trackable process. So that was going to be one of my next questions: is if you're doing all of this work with the postcards, do you know what your conversion is? How do you know that the lead came from the postcard? Are you using a unique phone number, a unique offer? What is your methodology?
well, it says on there, if you mention that it's from the postcard, you get some sort of a discount.
Nice. So you have an offer.
So it's just a way to let people know. And then when they go to the form, remember, because everybody comes through the form, there's a question on there that asks how you heard about us. So they have to answer that question.
Right. And then
So I know whether go ahead.
you've tallied it up. You said, okay, we sent 100 postcards, we got 10 phone calls, and then 3
Yeah, and
projects.
my response on that is about 0.5%. It's not a lot.
Yep.
But in my world, one job, and
Yes.
that expense has been covered.
Right.
And then Nextdoor. I'm sure you're familiar
Yes,
with
yes.
Nextdoor. I'm on Nextdoor a lot. But this is interesting, and this just goes to what I was saying a little while ago. I can't get into the way we do our Nextdoor stuff because it's really worked well for us. But now we don't see many people at all looking for recommendations at all. It's very, very different. And I think until we get past the election and,
Yes.
probably into the first of next year, it's just going to stay like this. And, we have a lot of geopolitical things going on around the world that are impacting it. So, there's a number of reasons, and I think we're going to be in this state for a while. But that's why I'm not willing to go spend a bunch of money right now every month, because I feel like, it's just my own opinion, that it could be wasted. I mean, it puts my company name in front of people, but people are not committing resources on a large scale right now. I mean, I just know that for a fact.
Right.
So I'm going to hold off a little bit on any serious expenditures. Having said that, I do have, and I can't really get into this because this is another business I'm going to start, but it's a way that I'm going to be able to do my advertising and have it paid for by other people.
Cool. Very cool.
And I'm going to be able to do now, assuming I'm still in the phase of doing my research on it, so I haven't made a decision yet, but I'm moving toward starting this if the numbers make sense. I got to look at my costs and everything, but just based on the advertising costs that I just told you about in like the Home Mag, I mean, I'm thinking I'm going to be able to come in and be competitive on price and offer a better service delivery area.
Nice.
Because one of the things I'm dealing with like Home Mag and Prestigious Living is they don't allow you to break it up in a way that really kind of works for you and where your work area is. So, for example, for that cost of a couple $1,000s for a full page ad, a huge percentage of those magazines are going to places that aren't even in my service area.
I see. Well,
so that's why I've got this idea. So there's a number of things I do, though.
very cool. Your idea seems exciting, and I hope it comes to fruition.
Thank you.
Next door, like you say, if you look historically, this is not the first time the world has been through a pandemic. This is the second pandemic that we've been through, and it takes about 5 years for humanity to snap out of such a worldwide event. So I feel hopeful going into 2025 that it's going to be on the upward trend, and of course, elections and world calamities and all of those are just inevitable, and they keep coming and going. And next door, I don't know if you're aware, has recently launched a separate ad platform, and it is something that we do for our clients where we go in and we manage the ads. Considering your quality of work is so high and you have such cool, amazing reviews, it might be worth it for you to look at applying for the
I'm on
Next
there. I
Door
do that.
Neighbor Award. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's a voting process.
I do that.
Nice.
I do that.
Cool.
I've gotten awards the last like 4 or 5 years.
Fantastic. Is it linked to your website?
And I do.
Is the awards linked?
Well, you know what? Actually, that's a good point. I don't have that, and that's a great point. But the thing about the advertising is that actually a friend of mine, her son is a programmer for them in San Francisco. Their dashboard is not robust at all. There's just not much information. So, and I pay every month for it, and one of the tasks that I've just given this guy that I have hired recently is to really kind of spend more time digging into it to see if it's worth it. Because I mean, it's not much per month. That's not the issue, but the return. I'm getting people coming to us from next door, but I feel that it's more a result of my outreach and the way I'm doing things rather than from the ad.
Right.
Because I can't really see where the ads are showing up. I've never seen one of my ads anywhere. And though I've had like 8,000 or 9,000 people supposedly look. So that's one of the things. And then if you want to talk about like AdWords or, the
PPC,
AdWords program, things like that. Yeah, PPC, the return on that stuff, I mean, you can get plenty of clicks. I mean, you can pay as much as you want and move yourself up on the per click thing. But that doesn't translate necessarily, even though they go to a landing page and all that. And I know my process, I'm sure could be improved on. I'm for sure of that. But I've had it before where my campaigns have worked and I've gotten responses out of it or gotten people come to the website and they've at least converted to coming to my website and entering the information. Maybe not all the way to the customer, but that's one of the things I consider a conversion is where they come through and fill the form out.
Of course. Well, I think digital marketing has really evolved, and I know you're not a very social guy in terms of being on social media, but today with pixels, we're able to track, lead actions. We're able to convert leads that come to the landing page, don't take an action. There's just so many things that we can do if you're interested in digital marketing and putting money into digital marketing. And on the same note, because you mentioned SEO, the way you need to approach SEO is to ask yourself, do you want to be in business for the next 3 to 5 years or the next 5 to 10 years, and then make an investment in SEO, because SEO doesn't happen overnight. As you well know, it takes a bit of time, and it's just content, right? The content as in your before and after photos. Talk about your project, write a blog. That's it. That's what SEO is. And when done consistently and repeatedly, you're going to get traffic from your neighboring cities and so forth. So there's quite a lot of brand new contractors that listen to our podcast. And if you were to look at your journey and give them tidbits of wisdom, what would it be if there is a young person that's considering getting into the remodeling industry? For you, what you said, you went and you just, you tried it, you liked it, there was a $900 that you made and it felt good. Is there a book, a mentor? What would you recommend if there is a young person that's considering getting into the remodeling industry?
This isn't my first business. I've started other businesses, and you have to start, first of all, and get out of the theoretical,
right,
and just go do something. Just go get some cards printed up, do the door-to-door, do whatever it is you got to do to get your name out there to get started. And if they're starting out just doing handyman things, that's not that complicated. There's so many people that are always looking for that.
Right.
So if you're looking to, say, start there, that's not hard. I mean, you should be able to get somebody that wants their toilet fixed or a room painted or a sink fixed. I mean, there's a million things you can do there and make money. But but the thing is that you got to get started, get a job or two, and then iterate, because it's an evolving process. It's definitely not a straight line, and you have to try something and learn from it. Try something and learn from it, and then keep making those adjustments. And throughout all of that, you have to be friendly, be authentic, be responsible, do what you say, and people have to like you. At the end of the day,
Right.
business is about people. It's people.
Right.
It's not Microsoft. It's the people. I mean, it's the brand, of course, but it's people making the decisions that underlie all of that,
Absolutely.
or underlay all of that. So you have to be the person who represents your company and be of character to do a good job and want to do a good job for people. And it's not always about the money.
Yes.
That's the other thing. I mean, the money obviously is a byproduct of it, but that comes from doing the right thing over and over again.
Very true. Great points. Yeah, remodeling is such a personal business because you're in people's
It
homes.
is. I mean, where I'm at now, I'm in somebody's home for a month or 2 months sometimes. You really get to know these people. You know their animals, you know their kids, and that's one of the things that they're looking at you, the way they look at you. Are you somebody I want in my house?
Right.
So present yourself well. Like I do this shirt.
Very cool.
It takes nothing for that. And I have a cap that I also it has a name on it. That's cheap stuff.
Right.
But it gets it's brand awareness,
It makes you look professional. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears and talk about reviews. I know you have a lot of 5-star reviews on your Google business profile, and reviews are social proof today. Today, when anybody's trying to hire somebody or even go buy a pair of socks on Amazon, we're glancing over, is it a 4.8, is it a 5-star, and then making a decision.
I know.
Right?
Isn't that funny? We all do
Yeah,
that.
our brains are just conditioned for that social proof. Like, what did 100 other
Right.
people think about this experience? If, with 6,000 people, I like that 6,000 people versus the 100 people
Right.
review. Our brains are just wired like that. So when you think about
Right.
your review collection strategy, do you have a plan in place? And, is there a point in the project completion where you go and you remind the homeowner to give you a review, or have all your
Yeah.
reviews just happened organically? Like, what is your process?
No. Well, I have like 80 something over on Angie, and then I have like 35 or something. We just got a couple more 5-stars within the last 2 weeks, and we just finished the job yesterday. And we call the customer, and we always suggest that we would like a 5-star review. I don't need a 2 or a 3. I mean, I'm really trying to get a 5. And if we're not, I'm just being honest, if we haven't been able to earn that, I tend to not ask, because everything doesn't go perfect all the time. I mean, in the end, you do everything you can, but sometimes a project can be slowed down for various reasons. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into these big jobs. So I always ask for a 5-star from the people, and obviously you have to have a sense for how did everything go well in the project. Was it an exceptional situation? Was it maybe just a little less than that, where you're thinking you could get a 4? I really try to go for those 5. So if you don't put that in the people's minds, you don't know what they're going to get.
Right.
So I up front ask, hey, we would, really 5 stars are really important. We would appreciate it. And that's not to be disingenuous or unethical. I mean, if they don't feel that we've earned that, then that's fine. I'm fine with that. But so we ask, and then I have a link that I send them, that I email them in Google, that takes them right to where they need to go. And it takes 5 seconds to do a review.
Right.
And then I try to remember, when the review comes in from Google, I try to go back right then and reply.
Yes.
And thank people for taking the time, letting them know that we enjoyed getting to know them and working with them on the project. And I just say a little something,
That's just a nice touch as the owner, to acknowledge the time that they did
Right.
write you a review.
Right. And something else I've been thinking about lately is maybe getting like I don't know if maybe a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne or some gift at the end as a nice touch to let people know that you really appreciated their business.
Well, I can give you a little tip. We have contractors that when they finish projects, we just put them into our CRM, and then we set an alert for 365 days later. And on the 365th day, we'll automatically send an email to the homeowner and say, "Hey, homeowner, this is contractor XYZ thinking of you. We did your kitchen remodel. How is it going?" And invariably, they reply back and say, "Oh, there's this some faucet, some little thing." We notify the contractor runs out, takes care of it, goes along with a bottle of wine or champagne. And at that time, we're able to get a second review from the same homeowner in 1 year because they're just so,
I like that.
so they're so pleased with that you cared and you remembered.
Right.
And then for you, like going and fixing a little faucet issue or a tile issue is like, the half an hour of work, but then that again, the responsibility and credibility that comes out of it, they just fall in love.
Yeah, and you have to do that. You have to go out and deal with those things. You can't just avoid that. You gotta, I always say the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yep.
So when you are doing a job for people, just because you're done doesn't mean. I mean, now if it's years gone by or something like that, you have to use judgment. Mm-hmm. But if something has happened within that period that you're under warranty, and sometimes even outside of that, we'll go back. We don't just run away, because bad reviews will really hurt you.
Yes.
You don't want the bad reviews. You really want to do everything you can, but sometimes. I'm going way out of the scope, right? I'm talking about all kinds of things, but you have to kind of know who you are and know the company and know what your values are. Mm-hmm. Because if somebody's pushing you for something that is not consistent with, it's not fair. Because sometimes there's issues with customers. I've actually started a database of people that are a pain in my and I don't want to deal with them again.
You should make a series
It's
of
true.
Customers that I don't. I think we all have.
Yeah, and hey, you know what? I always say not everybody's my customer.
Right. It's okay.
And I'm fine with that.
Okay. Yeah.
Not everybody's my customer. Like we have a certain way that we ask for money up front, and the way we do it in the middle, and the way we do it at the end. And customers aren't okay with that process because that's not me being kind of arbitrary about it. That's come from time of knowing that I need money to be able to keep the project moving. I don't want to be waiting, chasing somebody down for a check, through the process. So if they're not willing to go with the program, then I respectfully say, I understand, because there's a trust factor, right? Some people, they may give me $50,000 up front. Literally, or I've had it a little bit more a few times. So there's a massive trust, but there's a proportionate amount of responsibility too. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm like, that really resonates with me when somebody trusts me to that extent. Right. Mm-hmm. It really, like, come hell or high water, they're going to have a great experience with me. And my guys know that too. I'll be all over them like white on rice if they're not doing the right thing. Right. But most of the time, I don't have any issues with guys. And one guy's been with me 14 years, and the other one about 4 now.
Congratulations.
So it's the culture. It's the way you teach people. What you expect from them, that kind of thing, and because they watch how I respond to the customer to know how they should respond.
Right. So when you're not coming up with new business ideas or running your remodeling business, what do you do for fun?
Travel.
Nice.
I'm going to Antarctica in January.
Fantastic.
That's my last continent. Of course, I still have my travel privileges, which I'm grateful for.
Oh, with Delta. Nice.
Yeah, so I like being creative. I have a little simulator that I fly. It's
cute.
I've got the controls and all that, so that's kind of a fun thing. And I go see my grandkids and my daughters, and I don't know, just stay busy.
Nice. Do they live close by? Do you get to see them often, or do you have to hop on a plane to go see them?
Unfortunately, my youngest daughter moved to Arizona about 2 years ago. She says she's coming back in May, though, because her husband got a great job.
Nice.
And so I'll go with my grandkids, who were, I was just there. My oldest just turned 3. So they're coming back, which I'm super excited about. And my other daughter lives in Boynton Beach, in Florida. And I don't know if she'll be moving back anytime soon. But, we see each other as much as we can. And,
Super cool.
it's great being a grandpa.
Yes, I'm sure. Do you have a planned itinerary for Antarctica? Are you traveling with the group or did you just make it yourself?
I made it myself.
Nice.
I'm on a really nice cruise company called not Seabourn. I hadn't have said that. Silver Sea.
Yes.
Called Silver Sea. Have you ever heard
I've
of them?
heard of them, yes.
Yeah, I mean it's expensive. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a really nice experience. So I'm flying down to like Buenos Aires, and then I'm going from there to Santiago, and then they fly us from there down to Port Williams,
Fantastic.
which is in the southern part of Chile, and then we take the ship from there and go on to the continent, and then we're there for 10 days between traveling back and forth over the direct passage and the time on the continent.
Fantastic. I'm excited.
Yeah, I had promised my daughters I'd take them there. I told them when they were younger I wanted to take them to all the continents.
Mm-hmm.
But my youngest, who has the children now, she can't leave the kids.
Damn kids.
She's, the girls are young, and my other daughter's going with me, which I'm really happy about. So I'm going to fulfill that, that goal I had set for them. But
Sweet.
hopefully one day my other daughter will go with me.
And-
We'll do something. But we've traveled.
Very cool. Well, Antarctica is definitely on my bucket list. So have a great time. I'll connect with you after your trip to
Yeah, absolutely.
and so forth. So considering remodeling is such a hectic business, do you have like a morning routine or some habits that really see you through this kind of, entrepreneurial lifestyle that you've chosen for yourself? If there's other remodeling contractors that are listening to this and trying to, come up with stability in their day of how you manage time, and you must be such a methodical, meticulous human considering you've flown planes and been a pilot. What are some habits that you have that serve you in this busy pace of life and work?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I don't tolerate distractions real well.
Nice.
I'm very focused, you know what I mean? So, and I like to be in my personal space to kind of process and think through things a little bit and sort of extrapolate the way, the way like this new business I was telling you about for advertising. I just kind of get in my space, and I work from home, which, my expenses are very reasonable. They're actually very, very low. I just have a routine where I come in, or get my coffee, come in here in my office, and just look at kind of what's ahead and kind of put things in an order. But it's like any office. I mean, there's a certain bit of chaos when part of the personality that goes with some of the things I've been telling you about is one that is into a lot of different things.
Right.
So try and focus, stick to what it is, get some things done and get accomplished. Is something you have to really discipline yourself for. Because when you have a lot of things you think about, it's easy to not get much done.
Mm-hmm.
See, so I would say cut out distractions. You have to have a space that you can go to that you will defend. I mean, you don't let people come in all the time. A lot of times if the phone rings, I don't answer the phone.
Right.
I mean, I'm not interrupted. People, I have the other gentleman I told you about that he works in an office not far from me, but he's similar to me like that. We kind of respect each other's time, and then we get together, discuss things. But that's how it works for me. And, but I do get accused of working quite a bit. But to me, I don't really see it as work because I can choose to do what I want to do. If I don't want to work, I don't have to work either, as far as I want to take a week or two off or do whatever I want to do, but it's taken time to get here now. That didn't happen overnight.
Right. So staying focused and you enjoy the time freedom and, staying on track when you're focusing on one project. Well, Nick, it's been an honor and it's been delightful to chat with you, to learn about your business as well as your personal story. So thank you for your time. I have one last question. Considering this is the first time you've been on a podcast, I do have a lot of contractors that are interested in being on a podcast, and then they shy away saying, I've never been on a podcast. So how is it, this experience of just being on a podcast with me?
It is, it's fine. You know, I guess I had more to say than I realized.
We all do. We all have interesting stories.
Yeah, I just kind of, I didn't really have any nervousness. I was just kind of ready to talk about it, and I'm very open. That's the other thing. So it's not like I was trying to be careful about what to say, what not to say. I basically have almost told you everything, so, but at the end of the day, that doesn't mean somebody else is going to run off and go make that happen, because it takes way more than just an understanding what to do.
Right.
It's doing it and executing.
Yes. Idea is a dime a dozen. Implementing that and making $1 out of it is not for the faint of heart. So I completely resonate with that. Well, thank you again. It's an honor anytime somebody chooses to be on my podcast and it's their first podcast experience. I hope you go and you speak to more podcasters and share your story. And you have such a fantastic story. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me too. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Nick. If you would like to generate more leads through your digital marketing efforts, please visit remodelerdigital.com and check the workshop section for video training and guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads and how to have your website be best friends with the Google algorithm. Also sign up for a 15-minute discovery call with me to run an online snapshot report of your remodeling business. This has been another successful episode of the Remodeler Digital Playbook. Thanks for listening.